Let go of negative people. If you're like most people, you've probably encountered a few people in your life that just don't make you feel great. Maybe they're always nagging you or making you feel like you can't do anything right. It's tough when someone's constantly putting down your self-confidence, but it's even harder when the person in question is a close friend or family member. In this video, we'll be discussing some of the reasons why it can be so difficult to let go of negative people and how to start to rebuild your self-confidence. Ultimately, it's about learning to recognize when someone is trying to hurt or upset you and refusing to let them do that. You'll also need to be understanding and forgiving of yourself if you find it difficult to let go of negative people. After all, they're not worth your time and energy if they're not making you feel happy and positive. There is a lot of research that has been conducted on the topic of why we are drawn to negative people. Some say that it's because these people remind us of our own strengths and weaknesses. Others believe that we are drawn to negativity because it makes us feel powerful. Whatever the reason may be, it's important to understand that this type of behavior is not sustainable, and it will eventually lead to negative consequences. Here are 6 reasons why letting go of negative people is important. 1. Negative people drag you down. When you spend time around negative people, they will inevitably pull you down with them. This is because they constantly put their own needs before those of others, which makes them difficult to be around. In fact, studies have shown that being around negative people can actually lead to lower levels of happiness and well-being. 2. It's not healthy to focus on the negative all the time. When you only surround yourself with positive people, it's natural for your mindset to shift in a positive direction. However, if you spend too much time focusing on the negatives, it can start to wear on you mentally and emotionally. This is because it's hard to take positive steps forward when your entire world is tilted towards negativity. 3. It can lead to stress and anxiety. Negative people tend to bring out the worst in you, which can lead to a lot of stress and anxiety. This is because they are constantly stirring up negative emotions in you, which can be challenging to deal with. Over time, this type of environment can lead to physical health problems as well. 4. It's not healthy to surround yourself with people who only care about themselves. When you're around people who only care about themselves, it becomes difficult to feel connected or cared for. This is because these types of people are never invested in your well-being. They only see you as an obstacle that needs to be overcome. In fact, research has shown that spending time around negative people can actually lead to lower levels of self-esteem and self-confidence. 5. It can cause conflict and tension. When two people are focused on their own interests rather than those of their partner or friend, it creates conflict and tension. This is because both parties are trying to assert their own agendas while ignoring the feelings and needs of the other person. Over time, this type of environment can lead to breakups and even violence. 6. It's not sustainable. It will eventually end. When you are around negative people all the time, it's inevitable that the dynamic will change. Eventually, they will stop being positive and supportive and start to criticize and put down you. This is because they are only looking out for themselves and their own interests, which isn't going to be beneficial for either. In fact, research has shown that when relationships are centered around negativity, they tend to end in less than desirable ways. So how do you let go of negative people? Negative people can be a real drag on your day. They can make you feel down, angry, and frustrated. Sometimes it's hard to tell if a person is negative simply because they're unhappy or because they've picked up a negative habit. But no matter the reason, it can be tough to deal with them. Here are some tips for letting go of negative people. 1. Recognize that it's not healthy to keep hanging around people who make you upset. It's important to find positive friends who will uplift you, not drag you down. 2. Try to stay objective when dealing with a negative person. Don't get caught up in their emotions or what they're saying. Just focus on your own needs and desires. 3. Let go of the need to fix or change the negative person. Trying to change them only creates more conflict and frustration. You may also end up looking like a victim if you give up too easily. 4. Don't waste your energy trying to convince the negative person that their way of thinking is wrong or harmful. Their mind is already made up, so there's no point in trying to convince them otherwise. 5. Take some time for yourself. When you're surrounded by negative people all the time, it can be hard to find moments of peace and solitude. Try spending time alone in nature, reading a good book, or taking a walk outside. 6. Let go of the need to fix or change the world around you. It's not going to happen overnight, but by accepting that things will never be perfect, you'll be less likely to invest your energy in things that won't matter in the long run. 7. Remember that it's okay to have frustrations and emotions, but try to control how much negativity you put out there into the world. It's not healthy for either you or those around you. Tips for breaking the cycle of negativity. The following tips can help you break the negative cycle and start to see the world in a more positive light. 1. Recognize that negativity is a habitual thought pattern. Once you identify it, try to replace it with a more constructive thought. For instance, instead of thinking negative thoughts, try thinking positive thoughts. 2. Take time for yourself every day. Make sure to schedule in some time for yourself, where you can relax and let go of stress. This will help improve your outlook on life. 3. Surround yourself with positive people. Hang out with people who make you feel good about yourself and who have a positive attitude towards life. This will help you catch on to their energy and start to adopt their perspective. Letting go of negative people is a process. Negative people can be a burden to you and your relationships. They can drain your energy and sap your morale, but you need to recognize that negative people exist. It's important to be honest with yourself about how much negativity you're surrounded by. It's also important to remember that not everyone is like this. There are good and kind people out there too. Don't take things personally. When someone says or does something negative, it can feel like a personal attack. However, it's important not to react emotionally. Instead, try to stay objective and focus on the facts of the situation. Let go of the need to defend yourself or prove yourself right. There's no need to justify or explain your actions or words to a negative person. Be willing to forgive and forget. It can be difficult to let go of someone who has hurt you deeply, but it's important to do what's best for you in the long run. Try not to dwell on the negative past. Instead, focus on the present and future. Negative people can drain your energy and enthusiasm. Negative people can make your life difficult. Before you let go of a negative person, take some time to consider why they are behaving this way. If you can't find a reason, it may be time to let go. Let go of grudges and resentments. Negative people suck the life out of every relationship they are a part of. They drain your energy, make you feel like you can't do anything right, and generally make your life a living night. It's hard to be around someone who constantly puts you down, and it's even harder to try and shake that person off your life entirely. But it's definitely worth it to try and get rid of them. After all, they're not going to change, so why stick around? They're not going to change. If you're hoping that by hanging around a negative person you'll eventually change them, you're going to be disappointed. Negative people don't change, they only become more entrenched in their ways. You'll end up feeling like you've wasted your time trying to change them, and you'll likely lost any respect or friendship you had with them in the process. They damage your relationship with other people. It's not just you who will suffer when dealing with a negative person. Everyone else in your relationship will too. Negative people tend to ruin relationships by drawing attention away from the positive aspects of those relationships and instead focusing on the negative. This often results in fights, hurt feelings, and eventually a breakup. When you're constantly fighting with your friends over who gets to spend time with who, it's obvious that your relationship is in trouble. When a positive person enters a negative relationship, they can help to turn things around and bring people back together. Negative people are draining and destructive, so if you can't see any other way to deal with them, it's best to just stay away. Make a plan for how to cope if negative people are a part of your life in the future. Negative people can be a real drain on your energy and can take a toll on your mental and physical health. If you find yourself constantly around negative people, it may be time to make a plan for how to cope if these people are a part of your life future. There are several things that you can do to reduce the amount of stress that you experience from being around negative people. First, try to understand why these people act negatively. Some people may act out of malice or anger, while others may just be lackadaisical or irresponsible. Whichever the case may be, it's important to remember that not all negative behavior is harmful. In fact, some people may even find it helpful in certain situations. If you can't understand why someone is behaving negatively, it can be hard to respond constructively. Try not to react emotionally when you encounter negative behavior. Instead, try to stay calm and think about what you can do to change the situation. If possible, try to distance yourself from these people and spend time with positive individuals. This will help you get perspective on the world and will reduce your chances of experiencing stress from negative interactions in the future. If you find yourself struggling to cope with negative people, it may be helpful to consider seeking out professional help. A therapist or counselor can provide you with support and guidance as you work to change the way that you interact with negative people. If you're finding it increasingly difficult to stay positive and upbeat, it may be time to let go of some of your negative people. Too often, we hang around people who bring us down, whether intentionally or not. By spending more time with positive people who lift us up rather than drag us down, we'll find it easier to maintain a positive outlook in the face of challenging situations. Stay blessed.